What's up, this is Jake and Kristen with Hike 734, and today we're hiking to the Loch, Sky Pond, Andrews Glacier, and a bunch of other hikes in Rocky Mountain National Park. We started out over at the Glacier Gorge trailhead and then worked our way up past Alberta Falls all the way to the Loch, and then continued on all the way up to Sky Pond, and then came back to the junction with the Andrews Glacier Trail, and then went up to that and then turned around and headed back to the trailhead. And yeah, it just starts out right away. You just drop down over to Tindle Creek, and it's just a pretty little cascading creek, and we followed that up, crossed over on a cool little bridge, just continued our way up, and it was really pretty. And eventually we left Tindle Creek and started kind of traversing across, just working our way over to the next drainage, which had Glacier Creek. Along the way, just kind of skirted through the forest, not much on views, but it was just really pretty. Just lots of really cool rock formations and stuff. But eventually we came up alongside Glacier Creek and started following that up, and that has just a bunch of cascades as well. And you come to this really cool gorge where the creek is just chattering down below, and then it leaves it for just a second and then comes up alongside it where it's cascading and spreading out, and just lots of cool drops and just lots of prettiness. And then eventually, not very long after that, you come to Alberta Falls, and this is a super popular waterfall, and so you'll see a lot of people, but it's really pretty, and just a cool, just the way that it kind of cascades at the top and then drops really big down below. But then anyways, from there we just started working our way up, and from there it just starts really climbing up, passing once again a couple more waterfalls. One of the waterfalls is pretty well obscured, so it's a little bit hard to see. And then from there, it just kind of leaves that, and it starts working its way up towards one of the two glacier knobs, and that just has a really cool, just huge cliff face, and it's at that point where we really started to get a lot of cool vantages. We were looking down into Estes Park, and you could see all the way over to the Mummy Range. So yeah, just lots of really cool views, and then it would bounce into the trees and kind of switch back and wiggled, and just kind of worked its way on up, eventually turning up into the Loch, which is just this really big cool canyon, and just as soon as you turn up, it's just cool because you can see just way up. And we commented that it looked like it was a pretty good place to see some moose, and then not long after that we actually heard some splashing down below, and we found a couple of these moose. So that was really fun to see a cow and a calf down there. And eventually it kind of widens out and then drops down to a junction where right goes to Lake Haiaha, straight goes up to Sky Pond, and to the left goes over to Black and Mills Lake. So, but we obviously went straight to go ahead and continue on. And from there, the trail comes up alongside Icy Brook, and it just follows it up. And it's just another one of those great cascades. And you're climbing quite a bit. You're going up a lot of steps, even from the very beginning of this hike. But as you're getting closer to the Loch, there's just this really cool like cascade, and then you come up alongside some really cool cliffs, and then you just pop out to the lake, and it is really, really pretty. And this is another great destination if you're looking for kind of a more moderate sized day. Just lots of places on this lake to just explore. Lots of even though you're probably gonna find quite a few people around here, there's just a lot of places to kind of tuck yourself in and just enjoy the scenery, just the tall cliff walls and the great backdrop. And you can just go ahead and explore along the lake, because the trail follows right alongside the north shore of the lake and just works its way all the way around. And eventually gets to the head of the lake and starts climbing once again. And this one, once again, just a bunch of steps up as it kind of just climbs its way on up past the lake, working its way on up. And eventually we came and crossed over this little stream, and that's Andrews Creek, and to the right is Andrews Glacier. And we did that a little bit later, but we just stayed straight and just continued working our way up. And yeah, from there, the trail just kind of passes first through this really big open meadow. It's kind of a wet meadow, so super great in the springtime for flowers. We had a couple left over, but from there, then it just kind of starts getting more into the rocky aspects. And once again, just a lot of cascades around, lots of different things to see. So that was just really pretty. And at the very head wall of the valley, you could see a waterfall, and you will get super close to that. It is, but yeah, it's just a lot of just climbing up. And as you get higher up, you start to get get above some of the trees, and yeah, just this whole just big basin is just amazing. So the trail started to get even a little bit steeper, and at this point the trail starts to get a little bit funny. There is a little bit of route finding, but then you eventually work your way up right at the base of the waterfall, and so we kind of tiptoed across the outlet stream there and went over to the waterfall, and it's just got a perfect little place to take some photos. And then we went back over the stream, stepping around and waiting for people as you kind of scamper on up. But anyways, once you get up there, you go ahead and get up to, depends on the maps, it says Glass Lake. Here it's referred to as Lake of Glass. But yeah, either way, it's gorgeous, and it's just a really, really pretty lake. And this one's a little bit smaller than Sky Pond. Eventually from there you continue on, and right away it's really tricky because it's all on a hard surface, so you just have to pay attention to subtle clues like cairns and some rocks kind of guiding you around. Or so some places there's even a place where there's they've cut through the trees, and so you're looking at the rocks. So but if you're patient and you can't figure it out, you'll see somebody coming down and you can just see where they went, and you just follow that. But eventually you come out to the lake, and it's just gorgeous. It's awesome. The mountains are towering above it. There's some cool permanent snowfields up there, and yeah, just pike is chirping, and just lots and lots of it's just beautiful. Just a great, it has a pretty barren landscape, which is really fun as opposed to some of the timbered lakes that are lower. But anyways, from there we went ahead and we turned around and we came back down to the junction with the Andrews Glacier Trail at Andrews Creek, and the trail from there just starts following it up in the trees, and it follows up in a hurry. It is really steep. Initially right alongside the creek, but kind of goes away from it, and then eventually works its way out to a boulder field. And you're pretty much, that is kind of the new normal once you get out into the boulder field. You just start working your way through that, and just pay attention to the cairns. It's a little bit tricky finding your way, and definitely the footing is pretty tricky because you're just kind of dancing on top of those. But yeah, it doesn't take very long for you to get inside of this really cool basin with, once again, super tall walls, which is kind of the story. Jagged peaks at the top, and eventually, after you're picking your way across some of these boulders, you get to see the gash on your left, and it was really fun to look up at the shark tooth, and you can definitely see why it's called the shark tooth. And then anyways, from there you look up and you'll see this big persistent snowfield, and we thought, is that really the glacier? And it's not. The trail works its way on up, and you go just to the left of the snowfield and just to the right of that cliff, and it is really, really steep. This trail makes haste to just go kind of straight up, but there is a definite trail there, and there are a bunch of cairns to help you along the way, just to kind of work your way up. But anytime you need to catch your breath, the views that looking down below are amazing, just looking out through that whole drainage and stuff. But eventually you pop out up over to Andrews Glacier and the Tarn, which is the little lake below a glacier that is down there. And so yeah, just really cool to see the glacier. Some people do scramble up or down the glacier depending upon how you're connecting it, and the most popular connection is with Flat Top, where people will go by Hallett Peak and then come over here, or vice versa. But we decided not to do that, and we're just going up and checking out the glacier and turning back around. But really cool day, just lots of animals and birds, and just lots to see, and just the scenery in and of itself is just spectacular. Yeah, super pretty, just a big day, and any of this is gorgeous. But yeah, anyways, this is Jake and Kristen with Hike 734, hiking to Sky Pond and Andrews Glacier and Alberta Falls, and on and on and on in Rocky Mountain National Park. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe on YouTube and head on over to hike734.com for more goodness.